Hey everyone, Dan at Bushcraft. Well, this morning, guys, I'm excited. I'm out here testing out something that I had thought of. I've never seen anybody do this before, and I haven't done it before. So I'm actually testing this idea out right here for the first time on you guys. And if it works, then we're gonna go ahead and try this out in a shelter and whatnot. But you're probably all familiar with the Hobo stove. You just need an old coffee can, and you take a can punch and you make holes all the way around the top. That's so that the smoke has a place to escape from. And this is an older one that I made a couple years ago. I did a winter camp out and saved it, and I actually cooked my meal right on top. You can actually cook eggs, pancake batter, whatever, right on top. You make a little door, build a fire underneath of it, and you can cook your meal on top. They also can be used for a heat source at a shelter. I came up with the idea of, what if I dug a mini Dakota hole? So there's a small hole right underneath this can, fairly deep, and all my wood goes in here and down into the hole, and then I got my little tunnel, so air's coming down, making the fire hot. You know, Dakota holes burn hot, generating that much more heat and stuff up into this can. Most of the sparks are going to fall back down. Very few are going to come through these holes. And then not only could you use this to cook on, but you could bring it right up to the entrance of your shelter. So maybe you build like a lean-to or a debris hut with a little awning to protect from the rain, and you set this under the awning. There's not going to be sparks coming up into that, and you would have a hot fire in this can. This can would be like a heater, generating heat back into your shelter, and cook on it when as well. So I'm kind of out here in the open because this is phase one of experimenting. I'm going to call this the Dakota Hobo fire stove. My invention. I'm going to test it out here in the open, and I'm going to see if it works. And if it works, then we will come back here sometime in the near future, build up a little shelter, and try it again at the entrance of a shelter to see how much warmth it will generate inside and how handy it is to cook on. So let me move you guys around and show you. I've started digging a little Dakota hole, and I'll show you a tip about that as well. Okay guys, I got a small round hole dug here. It has to be smaller than the can, and I've got some extra dirt that I'm going to seal it up when I'm done. So this is going to be my main hole for the Dakota hole. The tricky part is keeping it a smaller diameter than the can. Let me grab my can real quick. So my can will sit over it and not fall down into it. Now, here's a little tip about digging the Dakota fire hole. You most often see on videos, people will dig a hole here, and then they'll dig a hole back here. Move you back a little. They'll dig another hole back here, and then make a tunnel through. There's actually an easier way to do it. You can make an above ground tunnel like I've done here. So I got my tunnel made, but it's above ground, and then you can just cover it. And I'll grab another couple rocks, and then I'll throw dirt over the top of the rock. So I will have a tunnel, but I didn't have to dig a hole here and another hole here and then connect the two holes. I just made a trench basically, and I'm going to cover the trench, and then under the rocks will be my tunnel. So go ahead. I'm going to set that right there. Have to dig out just a hair around that. Again, I've never done this before, so this is kind of an experiment this first time in making it work. Okay, so I'm going to need a place to get my wood down in there. Move this rock right up next to it. Perfect. All right, let me go get another flat rock or two to put over there. Okay, let's try this. Another one right here. One here. Then I will cover those over a little bit. Seal up around here. So theoretically, I should be able to feed my wood right through this opening down into the hole, and this is covered. So let me gather up some wood and set it down in here, and we'll try this out. And I'm going to cover this up a little better. All right, I've covered over this. I got my tunnel going under the rocks and under the dirt. Shouldn't have any leaks. My can is going to fit right here. So, and I've got a tunnel or a trench dug here to help me get firewood down in there. So I'll start by putting some smaller brush in the bottom of that hole. Interesting test. It might not work. It might be a fail and it might be a success. But you guys are getting to see this idea firsthand. So it got me, and I'll move you guys around and show you here shortly. I got some brush, some small limbs and twigs down in the bottom. Some dry stuff. And then I have some pieces of fat wood that I'm going to lay down in there. Some small pieces. All right, pause you guys. So this is what it looks like. So I've got my hole, and I've got limbs and little twigs and fat wood down in there, and then my tunnel runs under these rocks that are buried and comes out over here. So that should give me airflow down in there. And then once I get it going, I'll set my can over the top, and I'll have an entrance here to feed more wood in. This is kind of cool. So let's pause you guys, and I'm gonna move around and get that lit. All right, I'm just gonna use a cotton ball with Vaseline. That's gonna give it several minutes of burn time. And I'm gonna put that on a stick that I can put it down in the hole with. So let's see, we'll put it here where you guys can see me light it. Okay. That is down there in the hole. And I got a few other small pieces of fat wood that I will put down in there. All right. Make sure you guys can see here. Fire burning down in there. And yeah, there's definitely airflow coming through there. That should be plenty good enough to get it going. Let's move the can into place, and then we'll try to seal up. Where it might be leaking a little. Got a nice rock there. Level that out before it gets hot. Okay. I got my little door. Feed wood in the door opening here. So far, so good. Just a little fine tuning, I think. Right. All right, so here we go. Here's the stove. Again, I got my tunnel right here on the side. Here's my entrance. You can, for the air to get through. And you can see the flames burning up in there. This is my doorway where I'm putting wood in. And I can tell you right now, that is hot. So I could easily cook something on that right now. And this little doorway here is where I'm putting my wood in. So I got a piece of fat wood. And I put another piece of fat wood down in there. So the only thing I can say is it's putting out a lot more smoke than I thought it would. But I have a crosswind, so as the smoke's coming out, it's going away from me. So I don't think I would want to bring this inside of a shelter or inside, say, underneath a tarp. That's just way, way too much smoke. But it is definitely producing some heat, and it is definitely a handy little cooking stove. So I think under the awning of a tarp, or the front awning of a shelter, like if you put an awning on the front of a lean-to or something, I think this would probably work all right. All right, the good and the bad. Again, I've never done this before, and that's part of bushcraft and survival training, is you come out and you try new things. You try the things, of course, that you see on the videos. You try the things you see in the survival manuals. You practice things that you've learned. Wind's blowing really hard, and I just heard a tree fall. Anyway, this is something new. Ooh, smoke came right at me. The good and the bad. The smoke is the bad. Of course, it's really, really windy out here, and the wind just changed direction on me. So the smoke is definitely, I'm gonna have to move a little bit. the smoke is definitely a factor. So I would not want to try to do this inside of a shelter. That would be just a no-no. Also, you wouldn't be able to bring it inside for a heat source, and although it is throwing out some heat, it's not throwing out near as much heat as an open fire. So I'm gonna say, as far as using this as a heat source inside of a shelter, that's a no-go. Using it as a heat source in the front of a shelter, I mean, if you just needed to warm your hands or something, it would be okay. But if it was cold, you just want an open fire. So the only thing, the good that I can say is, if you've ever cooked on a Hobo stove, they're a lot of fun to make. Some tin snips to make your door, a can punch, church key to make the holes around the top, build a fire, stick it over the top of the fire, and then cook right on top. You can crack eggs on top. I've done pancake batter on top. You can do, lay sausages up there, whatever you want, right on top. Set your coffee cup, your stainless steel mug, canteen cup, whatever, right on top. These are a lot of fun to cook on. So I would just say the one advantage is it is putting out a lot more heat off the top. I mean, they do get hot, but that airflow coming underneath is just driving the flames up against the top of the can, and so it is a lot hotter to cook on up on top, which, depending on what you're cooking, may be good or may be bad. But again, like I said, this is a part of bushcraft. I have an idea and I come out and I try it. And a lot of times I come out and I try out ideas and I put things together and make them work. If it's a fail, it just never gets mentioned. If it works, then I come back and do a video on it. But once in a while, I like to take you guys along for the journey. And if it's a fail, it's a fail. You got to see me try. As far as this is a heat source inside of a shelter, being able to use it in a shelter like I thought you might be able to do, that's a fail. I learned, okay, this isn't going to work. I'm going to have way too much smoke in the shelter, and it's not putting out enough heat to warm a big area. I thought it would put out more heat than that, but the wind blowing is preventing that. Like I said, the one thing I can say, definitely hot on top for cooking. So if you wanted to put a kettle of stew or something, chili, up on top of that thing, you're going to have no problem. And you've got a little pit underneath it that's containing your fire. This thing's been burning for quite a while now. And when I'm all done, I can just kick the can out, cover up my pit, and I haven't left, a big open area. So, it may have its place. I think that I will do another one in the future and cook something on it, but it is definitely not, with all that smoke, going to be brought in a shelter. So Dan at Bushcraft, guys, I hope you enjoyed this little experiment, and give one a try. Maybe you can improve upon what I did, and then you can get a hold of me and say, hey, we found a way to make it better and not smoke near as much. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take care.